In week 5, we'll be talking about the abusive tactics used to belittle.
This week, we'll continue to look at the ways in which abuse has happened. We're going to continue to look at the power and control wheel, focusing on behaviours that belittle you in order for the person being abusive to gain control. Bear in mind that the areas, bullies, belittles, and traps, all have crossover with each other. For example, you might feel bullied by something that we have put in belittling, or that belittling someone is a useful tool in trapping them in a situation. Remember, this isn't easy. We'll be asking you to think about abusive situations you might have been in. And because it's not easy, it's a good idea to have a self-care activity planned for after you watch this. It doesn't need to be anything big, just a little something that you'll do so that you can feel settled and grounded. It could be as simple as giving yourself the time to sit with a cup of tea and do nothing else. Remember, if you're in contact with someone who's abusive at the moment, or someone who you think is using these belittling tactics, changing your behaviour can be dangerous. Please don't change your behaviour without talking to the facilitator of the group about the best way to keep safe. Change in behaviour can have unintended consequences that could make us and the people around us less safe. There are 3 sections of the power and control wheel that abusive people use to belittle others: emotional abuse, sexual abuse, and minimising, denying, and blaming. Belittling can be harder to identify as an abusive tactic because it usually happens in private and gradually becomes a pattern of abuse over time. But belittling actions and words are deliberate. They are intended to make you feel worse about yourself. Using emotional abuse, sexual abuse, and by minimising or denying what is happening, an abusive person is more able to gain power and control in a relationship. Belittling language or behaviour literally makes someone feel small and unimportant. Emotional abuse is used to take away a person's independence, their confidence, and self-esteem. This helps the abusive person maintain power and control. There are lots of tactics that fall into this category. A few are playing mind games, saying things to humiliate you, name-calling, insults, making you feel guilty, and eroding self-esteem. Sexual abuse. Sex, physical touch, and affection can all be used to exert power. This might be by making you feel bad, threatening to reveal private things, not considering your needs or wants, or being unkind. These are used by an abusive person to control you. Abusive people can withhold intimacy as a punishment or do things that make you feel uncomfortable. The abuse could include making you do things that you don't want to do, or treating you as an object, insulting you, criticising your sexual orientation or history, or using sex to humiliate you. Minimising, denying, and blaming. An abusive person does not take responsibility for what they have done. They will downplay abusive incidents, deny they ever happened, or blame someone or something else. Minimising might sound like making fun of the abuse, not taking your concerns seriously, or saying it wasn't that bad. Denying it might sound like saying that the abuse didn't happen, or that you made it up, or have remembered it wrong. Blaming might sound like it was because you did or said something. Maybe work was stressful, or because they were drunk or high. Anything that means that they do not have to take full responsibility for their actions. Causing you to question your own account of what happened is not just belittling, but another form of emotional abuse called gaslighting. Gaslighting refers to a specific type of manipulation where someone tries to get you to question your own reality, memories, or perceptions. The term comes from a film, Gaslight, where a man manipulates his wife into thinking that she has a mental illness by dimming their gas-fueled lights and telling her that she's hallucinating. Today, this might look like getting you to question your own memories, belittling the other person by saying things like you're too sensitive, pretending to forget things, or telling the other person that they're mad, or getting other people to believe that you're unreliable or unstable. In our next session, we'll talk together about the tactics that an abusive person uses to belittle and the effect that this has had. We'll also have a self-care group activity. We'll share our favourite quotes, affirmations or mottos. A quote can be grounding, you can do anything but not everything, inspiring, great things are done by a series of small things brought together, or they can remind us what we think is important. For me, that's progress, not perfection. Think about some of the pieces of advice that you've been given, or the mottos that you live by. You might want to do a bit of research, searching for the things that inspire you, ready to bring to the group. You might want to do some self-care now as well. Watching these videos can be really difficult, and it's important that you acknowledge the feelings that this can bring up. Why don't you take a moment to look after yourself? If you made a self-care plan at the beginning of this video, you could do that now, or find some more ideas on page 6 of your activity book.